Hey everyone! So before we jump into today's video, I just wanted to let you know that my brand new watercolor booklet is out now in my Etsy shop. It's all on spring florals, how to paint 5 different types of flowers, greenery, color mixing, tips on composition for florals, and basic strokes. So if you want to pick up your own digital copy, head on over to the link in the description below, go on over to my Etsy shop and go pick up your copy now. Let's jump into the video. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a really cute spring bike with some flowers in the basket. So let's do it. Okay, so to start, I'm just going to go through my materials. I have my Arches watercolor paper. I have my Winsor Newton professional watercolors again today. I have a pencil and an eraser, my Princeton snap brush in a size 6, my water, my paper towel, and we're ready to go. Okay, so first we're gonna draw the bike. Okay, so we love drawing here, don't we? I'm actually gonna take this circular paint splattered tin to use for the wheels. And I'm just gonna go around like so. 1 and 2. Want to make sure I leave a decent amount of room, not too much. Like that, we have 2 wheels. Okay, and then I am going to start connecting all of this. I feel like, no, this should be good. Okay, so I'm gonna do I'm gonna find the middle of this circle. I'm just gonna draw a little circle for reference there. And I'm gonna draw the front of the bike, a line coming up like that, not too high, about like that. Has a slight curve. You can always look up reference photos for this too. I definitely suggest that. Then we're going to have another line coming here. This is going to connect to the seat. Another line here. I'm going to make it smaller. Okay. And this is where the seat is going to go. And then the pedal is down here. Okay, so the top here is where the seat is. So let's just draw that seat. Like so. And then there's a bar connecting from the pedal thing down here. I feel like that needs to be higher. So when drawing this kind of stuff, I kind of just look where lines are in comparison to each other. So I drew this where the pedal was going to be down here, but then I looked at the part that's connecting the bar here, goes right down to the bottom, and it doesn't go over the wheel. So that means that I had to come up higher. It's just kind of how I look at things. Doesn't mean it always works and I'm always right. I'll just show you my reference photo. Just picked like a old-fashioned kind of bike. I'm going to do the basket of flowers in the front, so it's going to be a bit different. But I just wanted a reference for the shape of the bike because I don't know bikes. Not going to pretend I do. Like that. And there's a bar coming down. It's kind of parallel to this line. And I find lots of bike pictures, like lots of bikes are different, so they're not going to all have the same bars going places and all that stuff. So just keep that in mind. And then the pedal here is a circle, and then like that. Okay, now the handlebars. I was about to say monkey bars. Definitely not monkey bars. They're definitely called handlebars. Okay, so a little line that way. It's going to come up. It has like the rigid bottom like that. And then this is kind of awkward because it comes up behind it, but I'm not worrying too much about it. It's a little illustration. It doesn't look perfect. That's okay. Okay, and then we're going to do our basket here. So I want the basket different than the one that's in the picture. So I'm just going to have it attached to the front here. Scoop down right up against there. Like that, and then we're gonna paint the flowers. Okay, so now that I have the outline, I'm gonna take my marker, sorry. I'm also gonna be using this mono drawing pen by Tombow. Just use any kind of waterproof pen that won't, you know, leak or smudge if you erase over top.
So clearly I forgot to draw the back end of the bike. There's a bar connecting to the back wheel as well as the part where the chain would be connecting to the back wheels. So just follow along and put in that part. Also be sure to not draw the top part of the basket so you can have the flowers flopping over the front.
Okay, so you may already see that there's like a light blue there. I tried to do a blue color for the bike that I wasn't really fond of it. I think I'm gonna do more of a minty green. So I just used some turquoise and some Hooker's Green Dark, and I'm just gonna do a really light wash of that. So just add even more water. And just start off by painting the frame of the bike. So turquoise, and I think it was Hooker's Green. Okay. Now we're gonna go back in with a bit more darker color, and we're just gonna go underneath the bars to make one side a bit darker. It just gives it a bit of shadow. If it bleeds, you know, to the other side of the bar, that's okay too. You just wanna try and get some of those highlights on the top, just going around one side of the bars on the frame of the bike, okay? Now to make sure that it doesn't overtake the whole bike and you still leave some of those highlighted parts, just try not to have too much water or paint on your brush at this part. Just have just enough that it will bleed a bit. And I know that's a lot easier said than done, just it takes practice. Gotta love the noises out here. I don't know if you can hear that. Always when I'm filming, it's either a snowplow, my son's crying on the monitor. This is real life, people. This is my neighborhood. Hope everyone's okay. Okay, and so you can see just a bit of the highlighted part and then a little bit of the darker part. It's not like completely even, but it's fine. Okay, so we might go back in and do some more shading after. I want to get a bit more shading down here because the sun would be touching the least part down here, I think. Okay. And you can even add a bit, like let's add a bit of, that's green, a little bit of black to this, just a bit. Make it a bit darker and get in some of those shadows. Just a bit, nothing too crazy. Like that. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the handlebars and the seat, and we're gonna do that like a nice, like kind of brown leather, which I'm just using brown. So I'm just gonna use some burnt umber, do a light wash over the seat, lighter than that. And then go back in with a bit more color underneath the seat, maybe right here. So I'm gonna get a bit more shadow on the underside of the seat, like that, and then on the underside of the handlebars. Like that. Okay. Okay. And then for, oh, oops. One thing I did forget about the frame is the top of the bicycle here, the part that covers the wheels. Okay, there we go. Okay, and I'm gonna wait for the frame to dry just to make sure that the wheels don't touch the frame. We can actually start working on the flowers, which will be the more fun part. So I'm thinking of doing some like longer stem flowers, some flopping over, maybe some lilacs. So let's mix up some color. I have some mauve here, permanent mauve. Now, as you can tell on my palette, it's beading a lot. This is a newer palette, so I'm having that trouble like a lot of you guys do too. And usually I just work through it until, you know, it stops doing that. So I'm just mixing a bit of cobalt blue with some mauve. And then it's hard to get a light wash when your palette does this. So I just take off a lot of that water in my jar like that. Okay. All right. And I'm just going to start doing some like lilacs. Just with the tip of my brush. Some dots. Okay. Kind of all going into like a cone shape. Have some drooping over this side. Okay. Like that. And you're really just doing some dots with the tip of your brush. And then we're gonna do some like blue kind of delphinium type, like long stem flowers. So I'm just gonna make larger dots like that. I'm gonna switch up the blue a bit. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my sap green and I'm just going to go through making the stems of those like delphinium kind of flowers. I might tone down the green a bit with some purple. Sorry, that was too much purple. Here we go. Make sure it's not as bright. Might go through some of those. And I'll add more color to this, more of the flower color. I'm just gonna put where the stems are. Maybe have one drooping over, like that. And now I'm gonna put some more blue in there. Like that. Okay. And just fill up that space. You know, maybe we can do some larger flowers too. Let's see. Let's maybe add some pink. Maybe some pink buds here. So I think this is Potter's pink that I'm using. It's a nice kind of subtle pink, more of a muted pink, which is really nice for spring. Like that. Just making some larger buds. I'm gonna try and fit some of them in the white space in here. And then I might actually take some permanent rose, which is a brighter pink, and just tap the bottom of those pink buds, just to add a bit of brightness in there. And then I'm gonna dry off my brush, just take a little bit of the green. You don't want it overwhelming because it's such a small area. You're just gonna create some stems coming from there. Maybe some bigger leaves too you can do. So let's join the stems. Like that. I think I'm just going to take a bit more of this bluish purple, just go in here where there would be more shadow, just create a bit more darkness. Okay, maybe a bit more blue. Okay, like that. Maybe we can add a bit more. There. Okay, so our flowers are done, and now that the bike is dry, we can do the wheels. Okay, so I'm gonna get some black tires going. Like that. There we go. And then while we wait for that to dry, we're gonna do, because we're gonna do the inner part of the wheel, maybe the same kind of brown. We're gonna do the metal parts of the bike. So I'm just gonna take some Payne's Gray, which is really, this one is kind of a bit more bluish. I'm just gonna do a really, really light wash. Like that. Might go a bit darker on one side. Okay, and we can add a bit of white after to it too. And then the pedal of the bike, we'll do also kind of like a Payne's Gray. I don't want to have too much black on this bike. Okay. All right. And then before we do the inner wheel part and then the basket, we just want to make sure everything's dry. If you want to do another layer of shadow on the bike frame, now that it's dry, it will be a nice like sharp line because you're doing wet on dry. So if you want to do that, you can do that too, like this. Creates kind of like a sharper shadow. like that. And then you can always do the same thing with the seat too, if you want to make a bit more of a shadow there too. It's touching the metal part, you got to be careful. Like that. Okay, and so we're just gonna wait for this to completely dry and then we'll do the next part. Okay, so now we're gonna do the basket. I'm thinking we'll do the basket brown as well. So I'm just gonna take a light wash of my burnt umber. Just gonna go over, try and go around those leaves. And then go back in with a bit more darkness underneath where the leaves are, because they would be casting a bit of a shadow on the basket. Maybe a bit more darkness, like a bit of black mixed into it. And then we can do the weaving on the basket after. Okay. Just trying to get some of that color off the leaves. Like that. And then we're gonna do the inner part of the wheels just a little bit. Like that. All right, so I'm just gonna take my light wash of my brown again. And I'm just gonna do some really faint lines with the tip of my brush using really light pressure. Just going across like that. Just to add a bit of texture to the basket. Okay, and that's it. Honestly, that is it. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but I've made a couple of mistakes. I went over here and then there's a smudge there. Sometimes that happens, and when that happens, I cheat a little and I use a little bit of my white ink. So I have my Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white ink here, and I will just fix it like that. Just pretend it's white out. Okay. And there you go. There is your spring bicycle. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.